Hello and welcome to the Modern Romantic Podcast, where we celebrate and inspire romanticism through passionate people doing incredible things. Hi, I'm a delightful snickerdoodle. Hi, I'm Trey, and I'm joined by the classic chocolate chip cookie dough, Emily. Hi, Emily.
That's right. Thank you. Not the cookie, the dough.
Yes,
It's better.
because it's just better to eat out of the tub with.
Right. Who wants to wait for the oven every 10 minutes over and over and over again?
No, just eat it. It's delicious.
Have you heard of anybody having health effects from eating raw egg and cookie dough? Because I have not.
No, never. Couldn't be.
But I'm sure doctors out there would say don't eat raw cookie dough, or at least with egg in it. So I'm going to say we're supposed to say that. But
we are legally obligated under the terms of this contract. Thank you, doctors. How's your week been, Emily?
It's been so busy. It's been so busy. I don't even know what happened. So tell me about your week.
Well, little update. I'm no longer a foster parent for a cat.
Yeah.
Things did not work out well, but learned a lot of good lessons. I do enjoy cats. This cat was just maybe not the right one for me. But other than that, I have gotten so much sleep, and it's been lovely. And I have enjoyed sleeping 10 hours over the past
nice.
3 nights, which has been lovely.
Because no cat to bug you, to wake you up.
I wasn't going to say it explicitly, but yes.
But here we are.
We are.
I think the only mistake you made here was not just giving the cat to me.
That would have given me an excuse to drive 1,600 miles up to Minnesota to come see you.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a plus to all of this.
Road trip with a screaming cat.
Oh, that poor cat.
Oh,
She would have been so upset.
you would have. But it would have given me a lot of inspiration for many things of how to stay zen and, lots of other things. But I'm glad that we're talking about both the types of desserts that we love and also our love of cats, which I feel like we'll have a lot in common with our guest today. So, Emily, would you please introduce our fantastic guest today?
Our cat-loving guest tonight is Atlanta-based artist and curator Stephen L. Anderson, who is the co-director of Day and Night Projects, whose work is in collections including Emory University, Microsoft, Coca-Cola, and he is shown across the U.S. Welcome to the podcast, Stephen.
Hi there. Thank you so much. Good to be here.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
To kind of kick us off here, I know that we talked about cookies and things, but while doing research, we found out the names of your cats from a recent interview that you did. And I really do have to ask, where did Honey Biscuit Mix get her name from?
That's such a great name.
That's my wife Liz came up with both the cat's name. The other cat's name is Cosmos Dandelion. Yeah, so there's some cuties, and Honey Biscuit Mix was born in a wood pile in northern Georgia and rescued. So that's, but we just call her Biscuit usually.
This is the way. Yeah, that's right.
But she's a tabby who's kind of biscuit colored, like a light cream color. But yes, I am a cat lover. I've had generations of cats in my life, and as much as they destroy things, they also bring me lots of joy. So,
yes. Well, and applause to your wife for the naming job. Very good. Not that you need our approval, but we approve.
Cats should have a last name.
Yeah, why not? Mine too. Did Midnight? Yeah. Yeah. Oliver Fauntleroy. so I can call him
Oh, yes.
Olifant.
Oh, okay. What
Yeah.
about Velvet?
Velvet Bean.
Oh,
Yeah.
because of her bean toes.
It's a multi. I was gonna say purpose. That sounds so utilitarian versus cute, but yes,
Oh,
toe beans, velvet bean, it works. And
Yeah.
she's little bean because she's so tiny. Yeah.
Midnight did not get a last name either from her owner or from me. But I believe that the next cat will definitely get a last name.
Good. Good. Keep that in mind. I'll help you brainstorm if you need to.
Perfect. Um, Also, Stephen, in that same article, I was very surprised to note that you have a little bit of a competitive streak, and so I'm curious how your journey through Splatoon 3 is going.
Oh well, yeah. So that's the Switch, and I got started on the Switch like during the pandemic, like probably most people did, and it is I, I've always liked video games, but like I've never had a console in my home until then, and I was kind of trying to warn my family like this is going to be bad for my career because like I'm going to start spending more and more time doing this. But I do find that like playing video games can kind of like I don't know get you to work on parts of yourself that where you I don't know where you can like kind of hone your will or just like concentrate and get really competitive and good at one kind of little thing that's meaningless. And so I don't know. It's a good outlet, I guess. I probably should be doing the dishes or other things like that instead.
Dishes can wait.
No, yeah.
No. Mundane chores can wait.
To that end, Emily, what's one thing that you do that I don't know that maybe I'm not aware of to kind of I don't know what I'm trying to ask, but like
I don't either.
if Stephen has the switch for that thing that he enjoys that maybe that helps him concentrate on something, what's the one thing that you do to help you concentrate when you're not doing art?
When I'm not doing art.
Hmm?
I'm not doing art. No. I don't know. I put podcasts on. I put music on. I tend not to just put the TV on, but yeah, I tend to read a lot of like nonfiction too, which is super boring, but I'm into that because I'm an adult and some adults get into that. Let's see. I don't know. I think laundry is kind of zen though. I actually enjoy doing laundry, but the garden is another one.
Ooh, yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah.
that's worthwhile. Garden
Yeah,
for sure.
we've got a nice yard, so I'm out there as much as possible when we're not getting Canadian wildfire smoke or storms, which has been our summer. So, yeah. How about you, Trey? What do you do when you're not arting?
When I'm not arting, who says I'm never not arting?
Right? I know. Like somehow you might be. Can you
Um,
call? Can you call driving home from work and art?
I have to say I've been trying to take myself through the works of Oscar Wilde. I got a nice book of his short stories, and I just ordered a book of his poetry. Um, I have enjoyed The Picture of Dorian Gray so much that I really wanted to invest in some of the like other works, the maybe lesser known works, and my God, they are really good.
Lots of good quotes and like pull quotes in those.
Yeah, no,
Oh
I've
yeah,
never read his work, so it must be pretty interesting.
it is. It's just as like biting as if you've ever seen The Importance of Being Earnest. It's just as biting and witty. Um, the short stories lately, really unique twist to it. I don't want to ruin anything for you, and I feel like if I divulge any details, that's going to ruin some of the magic. But like, it's honestly, it's worth your time.
Sounds good.
So you mentioned the garden being worthwhile, and you obviously have a draw to nature.
Mm-hmm.
How do you go out in nature right now?
Well, it's kind of funny. Increasingly, I have not been outside as much as I have been in the past. I grew up as my dad was a bird watcher. My mom is a biologist and science teacher, and I was always outside. Um, and I was a Boy Scout, and so uh, I spent a lot of time outdoors, and I learned a lot about nature, and I learned just how to be comfortable with myself outdoors. Um, and But lately, I live in the city, and it, we've got a yard, but it's just like it's got mosquitoes. It's like 90 degrees all the time. So I just haven't. And then when I have free time, I find myself feeling the need to be in the studio. Um,
Yeah.
in my studio, there's a canoe hanging from the ceiling,
Hmm.
and I haven't put it in the water since my parents gave it to me, like when in 2013 or something like that. Um, so I feel like I'm kind of missing out a lot, uh, and I do feel the pull to be out in nature, but I don't know. It's just part of my life right now that I can't quite squeeze it in.
That's absolutely understandable.
Yeah, which is it's strange because a lot of my like all of my work is about how I feel about nature, what plants are, like all, trees, all this kind of stuff, and it's a real pull to it and connection that I don't know. Maybe it's like I'm just getting further away from the reality of it, more into the my perception of what I think it is. I'm not sure.
I mean, you've definitely surrounded yourself with it, whether you're technically physically out in nature or
Mhm.
you've made it to be around you
True.
in a fashion. So, which is what we kind of do in our homes. Many of us who have nature photography or nature type art or actual plants in our
Yeah.
homes. So,
Right.
or
When
like
I
Trey, he grows Pokemon.
Apparently, yes.
when I lived in Los Angeles in the early 2000s, I had a studio, and you could do this there because it wasn't very humid, where it was sort of like I designed a tent with an architect and another artist, and just hung it over the driveway, and that was my studio all
Hmm.
the time. And so I would be out there, and I would see all the birds and plants, and of course, the weather in Southern California is perfect for that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But every I'd be out there working at night, and a skunk would kind of walk through, and I'd have to just be like really still. So a falcon would kind of swoop through, and it was definitely connected to nature, and that was kind of when I was really starting to I don't know, come up with the ideas that are kind of like being carried through right now, I think.
That's
So
pretty cool.
yeah, it was pretty awesome. Can't really do that in Atlanta. It's just too humid. Everything just rots.
Oh, yeah. Do you have clay soil down there too?
Yeah, it's like red clay.
Do you?
Hmm.
Honestly, that's what we have here. It is tough to get anything through.
Hmm.
Speaking of your art, the thing that I loved while perusing the things that you posted on your website is your art about the rings of trees. Am
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
understanding correctly that for the name of each of those pieces is based on the number of rings that are part of that
Yes.
tree?
Hmm.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I I make these artworks, and I don't really I'm not looking at a tree stump or anything like that. I kind of came up with a process uh, to uh, to make these drawings, and it's just I start with a dot in the middle, and then I draw a line around that, and a line around that, and it gets to you know 200, 300, 400 lines sometimes, and they can be up to like 16
Yeah.
feet or something like that is the largest one I've done. Um, and it's it really is just about thinking about how things grow and how, but also a sense of time. Like I really kind of think about, well, when you've seen these tree stomp, or if you've been out to the redwoods and sequoias in California, you've seen like they always have a display where there's a gigantic uh, tree, and they count the rings, and they're like, this tree was born here, and then on this ring, Christopher Columbus discovered America, and up here was like World War II, and blah blah blah. And this is where so they use it as a timeline, and I really like to think about that in terms of like where I live now, what
Mm-hmm.
happened in the past. It kind of connects me to sort of more cosmic sense of time, I think.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
I know you've kind of named them like 203 or
Hmm.
175 or whatever, and
Yeah.
for how many rings. So does that mean you've counted them, I presume?
Yeah, and it takes like 4 or 5 times to get the count right.
Make
I forget
sure, double check,
because
right?
you get up to 157, and if your mind wanders, then you have to start over.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I have to count the same number twice to make sure that I've done it. So sometimes
Yeah.
I will count. If I'm not paying attention, I have to do it several times.
I really love your use of color in those pieces as well. Is that something that you plan in advance or just kind of as you're going? Do you kind of just feel it out?
Um, a little of both. I mean, I start out with a palette of, I don't know, a handful of markers and pens and colored pencils and things, acrylic paint, oil paint. Um, and I usually just sort of make a list of each color on a scrap piece of paper, uh, like little swatches.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I'm like, well, this one I want to do one that's more greenish brown. This one might be more reddish brown, or this one might be a little bit of
Yeah.
yellow, or sometimes I would go for some psychedelic colors. Um, and I kind of because the process is just drawing a line. It's really meditative. I can be really intuitive about the colors that I'm choosing once I get started, and I can just like bring in a new one, or just kind of make a rhythm with the colors. I mean, it's a little bit of basic color theory of just putting two colors next to each other kind of
Sure.
affects each other. So sometimes I'll play a little game with that, just try to make a rhythm and bounce the colors back and forth. But sometimes, uh, I'll like, this one's got to be like bloody red, and I kind of just make the whole thing red. Or this one's got to be bright green. So, but I can do one of the things that's really nice is like if you see one of these pieces across the room, it looks sort of brown. As you get up close to it, you might see like one ring of hot pink in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
It's really thin, and it's something you just wouldn't see like until you get up close. So I really like doing those kind of things too.
And it's how your eye blends the color of pink into that brown that kind of makes the whole thing look the way it
Hmm.
does.
Hmm.
Because without that, it might look different from a distance.
Yeah, and as I'm making these, when they're this big, there's a different sense of what the overall color is than when it's this big, and like when
Mm-hmm.
it's just depending on as I add more rings of color.
Makes me think a little bit of like George Seurat, like of standing far back, you see the complete image, but if you got up very close to it, you have those two colors like very, very close together, creating, I don't know,
For sure.
something a little bit different. That's incredible.
Yeah. Hmm.
What are you with making these pieces? You've talked about how you find them as a nice like timeline for works to be able to look at the past, but be also to be able to look where you are in relation to that. How do you hope that these works impact other people while viewing them?
Well, I mean, there's things that I want to get out of it, and there's things that I can offer to people to get out of it, and hopefully they'll also maybe come up with something of their own interpretation as well. And so in one sense, these are about this sort of sense of time. And another sense, to me, they're about deforestation and this sort of ecological warfare that's being committed against us. And but it can also be like, creating a vortex, or it can be about being hypnotized, or there's a lot of. I try to leave it a little loose so that there's a lot of interpretations.
That totally makes sense. I would feel like if I could see especially the 16-foot one, that I'd start really far back and then get a little bit closer and then get a little bit closer. And yeah, that would be a really cool experience.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever been able to see people kind of start way far back and then watch them as they get a little bit closer?
Well, I do kind of. I'm sure I'm not the only artist that does this, but like when I have a piece in a show, I sometimes kind of lurk around and just sort of like, not to get in people's like line of vision, but just kind of to be close enough so that if they turn around and they ask a question, I'm right there. But also just to observe how people look at things, and what they're paying attention to, and how are they just flicking past it, or are they really engaging with it silently? It's kind of fun to see people have conversations and they talk to people, and I kind of like to watch that from afar. It's kind of nice.
Absolutely. I've heard artists say that they do that also to see, like you said, how they engage, how the audience or how the public engages with it, because that can sometimes tell them what might be a hit versus a miss as far as with the public. But also, especially if you're not recognized, I think that's kind of fun to kind of be able to lurk and overhear, what people are saying, or to see, kind of facial expressions and reactions to the art. I do the same thing, so I get
of
it.
Course. Yeah. It's kind of. I mean, it's fascinating, really, and it's a little bit egotistical as well.
A little bit. It's nice to feel validated when
Of
people are
course.
saying kind things or excited to see the art. And
Yeah.
yeah, totally. There's no shame in that. I don't believe. I don't know if it's egotistical, but of course we want to see what. I imagine filmmakers do the same thing. They're so excited for an audience to see it.
Sure.
Look what I
I mean,
did.
filmmakers, even that they'll continue to change the film based on how people react to it. So I don't necessarily do that, but it definitely know that if people like this one, then that's something that I could make. That's a track I could keep going on and feel like that's going to be exciting.
Absolutely. Plus, when you're putting art out there, it's like part of you, and usually you don't put it out there unless you're somehow proud of it. So if you are gifting this to the world in some fashion by just releasing it at all, it's something that of course you want to see the reaction to it, because that's who you're releasing it to. So of course there's I'm going to say it's absolutely not egotistical. It's completely normal. You're right, Trey.
Yeah, just I had made a little too spicy of some dal for dinner, so that is put a little too much ancho chili powder in it. Just a little bit.
What a great evening! What a great evening for Trey.
Well, Stephen, you've also been abroad as a resident artist in some European countries, as well as a resident artist here in the United States. And you've talked about the audiences, what I perceive to be here in the US, but I'm curious, what has your reception been like abroad versus here in the United States?
Well, that's a little hard to say. I mean, I really haven't shown my work that much outside of the U.S. I was in one show in South Korea, and of course, it was all I could do was. It was even too expensive to send the work for this group show, so they printed it out and put it on the wall, which is great.
Wow.
But but I have been in residencies. I've been in residency in France, and that was really wonderful. And so it wasn't an exhibition or anything. Um, so I really don't know, but I mean, I feel I would love to start showing my work outside of the U.S. And if if they still like Americans, I really wonder what damage we're doing to ourselves to with the political situation we're in. If people you know want to have Americans visit and show their work
Right.
anywhere else, um, but um, but yeah, I mean, geez, that would be great, right? I would love to go show my work in Europe.
Yeah.
I think people would really get a bang out of it. So
Does that feel as daunting to you as it does to me? Because the idea of art somehow, like they have older art, they've done art longer
mhm.
than we have here in the US. So it feels like you're going back and showing your art teacher from whatever your work, and they are going to be the harshest critic maybe, or maybe the hardest our audience to reach. Does it feel that way to you as well?
uh, no, not really. I mean, obviously, like there's a lot of art that I would that I haven't studied, and I'm sure there's a lot of like 20th century art that might come close to what I'm making. Um, that there's probably some artists out there I should study and just get an idea of how they work and what they do and how it would relate to my work. But my what I'm doing and compared to something you would see in the Louvre is it's it's really different, I
It
guess.
is. Yeah.
So I'm not really. That's not something that I feel like I don't feel like I need to contend with figurative works or historical works always. I feel like what I'm doing is uh, it's more the lineage maybe would be closer to what's called process art, I suppose,
Okay.
or eco art. I mean, I don't know. I've kind of in some ways I think in order to really sort of like, and I'm not saying I'm the most original artist out there or anything like that, but like in order to sort of continue on the path in the direction that you want to go in, you kind of have to put on blinders a little bit and maybe be a spectator less often. And now I go to see artwork to support people that I know and my friends and things like that, and I'll go see museum shows and galleries and things like that. But um, I don't. I I started to feel when I was younger, out of art school, but still making art in early in my career, that like the more art I saw, the more it sort of like whipped me around of what direction I wanted to go in. And at some point, I found myself just viewing, spectating less. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think that's kind of I think we have to do that. We have to sort of limit the onslaught of images that come at us. I mean, I wish I could do that. The images that come through my phone, but I am sort of
Yeah.
addicted to that. Um, but I'm a little more discerning about like what I want to go see and make an effort to do it sometime. Besides, I'm usually in the studio making things rather
Right.
than you know going to the museums.
We had Brooke Shaden on a couple years ago, and she said something similar. How the way she actually avoids imposter syndrome is to kind of put blinders on, because it forces her to focus on her own art, and instead of feeling like she's in this sea of other artists and where do I belong and all of that. And it was really wise words, honestly, because yeah, if you're not creating the way you just want to create, and you have this constant influence or constant influx of, I guess influence is the word, I could see how that would do both. It could change your work, or it could caused you to maybe struggle a little to feel like you've found your own voice or your own style?
Yeah, and I think, I mean, there's times when I'm much more open to it, and I'm like, I got to come up with, or I want to come up with a new idea, and
Mhm.
and then I'll sort of seek out artists that I know that will help me sort of see things fresh, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but but then there's times when you just got like I can't I can't be open to influence right now. I got to stay on this tightrope I'm walking in the studio.
Yeah, that's discipline though.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah.
Intention to do that is, I applaud that.
Well, like I think all the discipline that I've learned has just been sort of, you know, years and years of just sort of like forming habits and um, like learning from mistakes, and then eventually that you look at that and it's like that's discipline, I guess, in a sense of like how you keep yourself focused.
Right.
Mhm.
I think it's also accountable because you say to look at the mistakes, and so it's recognizing something that you have done and choosing to do something because of that. Where do you think that that accountability comes from?
Well, I mean, accountability comes from putting your work out into the world, I think, partly. I mean, I show a lot in group shows and solo shows. So there's that part of it. Accountability is being a member of the community, um, and having people rely on you for things. Like, so I run a gallery with my colleagues Angel Ellis and William Downs, and we've been doing this since 2016. And there's a lot of accountability in sort of how you uh, have to um, be responsible for this program of like giving people opportunities and creating a community and things like that. And there's lots of opportunities for people to call you out if you're not doing things right, and sometimes they will and sometimes they won't. um, but to be in the public sphere is very vulnerable, um, and you have to be comfortable being uncomfortable. I
Mm-hmm.
guess. I mean, you have to. Um, yeah, I guess that's a kind of quip way to put it, but that's something I've also learned is like how to you know to know that, oh yes, I recognize that this is a vulnerable uh, part of me, and I'm going to put it out there, and I have to sort of keep my ears open and my heart open, and just and know that this is like this is a give and take. Anytime I show my work, it's a give and take, and it's not always about people collecting it and money. It's about you're kind of putting your heart up on a pedestal, and you have to be prepared to have it broken. Uh, you know, and usually that doesn't happen.
Because
Usually that
because
doesn't
they'll see
happen.
the hot pink streak and go, "Ooh, yes, I like this."
Yes, and then I mean, that is what makes it all worth it.
Yeah.
When people get really jazzed by what you've made, and it makes them want to go make something, or makes them feel something. It's like that's what I think. That's why I do it. I don't know.
How long have you had the gallery now?
Since 2016 in October, so we're coming
Okay.
up on 9 years, I think.
Okay. Very nice.
Happy early ninth anniversary.
Thanks. Yeah, we've done over 50 shows. We worked with well over 100 artists. And they're usually, exhibitions that last about like 4 or 5 weeks. Um, we did our first art fair last year, the Atlanta Art Fair. We're going to do that again at the end of September.
Cool.
And so we've got some exciting artists for that. But that's sort of a new thing. We're a very low budget sort of operation, and we really like to let. Sorry, that's the event space upstairs. We like to let artists sort of really transform our space into something that is, really. I don't know. We like to give artists a lot of freedom and opportunity to do what they want to do. So that's always exciting.
From the standpoint of an artist, that's awesome.
Mm.
And it's Day and Night Projects, right?
Yeah.
That's the name of it. So for anybody who wants to go look that up, that's the name. You can go find that online and take a look at what they do. And if you're in Atlanta, you should definitely go look and take part in some of their shows and things like that. Go support art. So, are I heard footsteps. That's great. I lost my train of thought too. That's okay.
Right? Distracted.
Kind of an out of the box question, and feel free to think about it if for a little bit and then answer us later. But if you had to describe yourself without calling yourself an artist, how would you describe what you do?
I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of the word artist carries a lot of power, and not like I don't know that kind of power is a sort of weird thing. It's not like it's gonna cash it in for like a sports car or something. But it means a lot culturally, and so I when I first said I'm going to be an artist, that was a really important moment in to myself, in a transformation of who I was. So if I had to say if I had to sort of say not use the word artist, I mean, I would say I'm a creative person, and that I use that creativity to make a living, to create objects and situations and things that are sort of, again, I'm not using the word art exactly, objects that are crafted with sort of like, I don't know. I mean, it's weird, right?
Yeah.
Also, like, Trey, I want to know with this question you're asking, are you looking for like a newspaper delivery person is a media distribution technician? Are you looking for that kind of different description, or are you looking for like I am a photographer, so I capture imagery in a box that stores it, and then I print it on paper and I distribute it to the world in various ways?
No, I'm curious about the way in which people think about what they do. And
Okay.
being that we are all artists of some variety,
Mm-hmm.
I love the way in which people can describe what they do.
Okay.
So take photography, for example. Um, I capture the quiet moments that when you think no one is looking, or when you're painting something. I paint the emotions that you may not feel at that moment, or I am giving you a visual representation of what I'm currently feeling.
Gotcha.
So I'm just kind of interested in the way people think about what they do and how they conceive what making art is.
Right. Well, I can sort of, I mean, in terms of like what I make in the studio, I try to come up with ways of drawing or painting or video or sculpture that is a system that shows a system that I find in nature, in terms of like how nature behaves, how it feels, how it looks, how things grow. There's a whole lot of there's a ton of metaphors that we can pluck out of the plants and trees and things like that, and sort of compare and contrast and adapt to how we live our lives. When I was living in Los Angeles, I was drawing and painting. They have these huge like agave plants and aloes and all these succulents that grow out there, and they're really tough. They got spines. They can
Mm-hmm.
survive when it's super dry and hot. And I was really thinking about that in terms of like, well, this was, when the Iraq War was going on, and I was like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
so how am I as a person who wants to try to be an activist to uh, to be part of a community that's doing something, and I was like, well, these plants they're like, first of all, they are replicating themselves underneath the ground, making clones in these big clumps of plants, and they're all connected somehow. And it really kind of, to me, it was like, it questioned the idea of what is an individual, because you got shoots and more plants coming up. And then at the same time, they would put up a stalk and this really tall stalk and make these huge flowers. Um, and I thought, okay, so one action is the community kind of action, and the other action is a sort of individual action. Um, and then once I kind of like these things, I sort of put them out in my head. I was like, oh, there's a ton of different ways of using nature to describe um, what we do as humans. I mean, we're natural, we have our culture, our systems of culture are just sort of offshoot of nature,
Mm-hmm.
the same way that birds communicate by singing. Um, so I don't know. It just opened up this huge area of me to sort of think about these things, and I like to think about that and then come up with new ways of making something that is maybe made in the same way with the same process that nature is making its thing or making itself or growing or doing something.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really I mean that's sustaining me from here on out.
And that is a beautiful answer. Thank you.
Yeah. I like that when the part where you said like we're like part of nature. It doesn't always occur to us that we are, because it's like something we go visit or something we go out in and experience, instead of like we are actually, we're just in modern civilization, we've built houses and buildings and roads and infrastructure,
Right.
and but really we're still part of that. We've just built up our lives.
Yeah, I mean, in the same way, like what are those larvae? Like the caddisfly larva will like apply all these like stones and gems to its body, and it looks like, that's the same way that we make a house or something. It's like,
Yep.
so. I mean, I think there's a lot of ecological philosophy that I need to read about, even more so about like how we are nature, and I think essentially it's like we only really separate ourselves from it because we have this thing where we categorize and separate things. And anybody who's taken LSD or mushrooms will tell you that those separations and categories like can fall apart in a moment's notice. Um, so, uh,
Which brings us to how mushrooms have networks under the ground and other
right, and
ways
there's
of,
another
yeah.
metaphor for all
Mm-hmm.
kinds of systems and things about ourselves.
It makes me just think of The Last of Us, and I have just finished watching season 2, so I'm still not over it.
I haven't watched it at all,
Oh,
shockingly.
me
Okay,
neither.
Not yet.
then I will not spoil it. It's really
I
good, but
mean,
also bring your tissues.
yeah, okay.
Um,
I'll catch up one day.
So one thing I think that you've hinted at, but I believe you also do digital art. Is that correct?
Well, I do. So my day job is for Emory University, and I do graphic design for the admissions department. So marketing materials for 17 and 18-year-olds so that they can apply and enroll.
Yeah.
And that's an equally creative kind of work, but it's it's all teamwork, and it's all communication, and it's all uh, it's it's very ego less, and you get in trouble when you bring your ego into it because things are always changing. People have needs that you don't see right away. It's I mean it's a job. I like it. It's a great job. I would believe in the university. Um, and it keeps me. It's something to do creatively that I can earn a living on. So
That's awesome.
yeah. So I mean, I graduated from college before I was an artist, and I was like, "There's nothing here for me anywhere. I don't know what I'm going to do." And so when I finally decided I would go, I really wanted to be an artist. I made sure that I also learned to do graphic design because I knew that at least there I would have a skill that I could make a living with.
Yeah.
But it took me a long time to kind of figure that out. A lot of like cold, skinny days with not much to eat. Finally,
Are there ways in which graphic design fulfills you that your work in the studio may not?
uh, yeah, for sure. I mean, the graphic design is the language that we speak visually, and so anywhere you look, something's been designed by somebody. So I feel like I'm a participant in that part of our culture, uh, on the like every minute of the day. Um, and I like the ability to be able to make things that people will recognize as part of that every kind of day. I feel like the paintings and drawings and sculptures and videos I make are sort of not part of the everyday, um, which is, I mean, for some people it can be, but it's like I don't know. It definitely fulfills a need, and of course, my wife is a designer as well, and so we've got lots to talk about all the time about things that she makes, things that I make, how these projects work. We kind of really understand that, so that's kind of cool. And then of course, my son is learning that language as well, so it's pretty great. And you know, it it's a good job. Um, I was just thinking recently that it's been a very long time. I was watching a movie where somebody's like punching a clock, and it's been a very long time since I had to do anything like that. So that made me feel pretty excited about what I do.
Right. And the thing about graphic design that people don't probably realize is how much graphic design allows art to be everywhere around us all the time.
Hmm.
From the whatever's on your sweatshirt there, Trey, to the packaging design behind you, the logo on my pen, you know, all of it. And
Yeah,
so without graphic designers, things like branding and packaging don't happen,
true.
just as one small facet of that. And so we are surrounded by it all the time. And people don't think about even the design that goes into making what my pen is, what color was chosen, the shape of, and the size of, and all of those details are artist work.
Hmm.
And a lot of people don't think about that when they look at all of the things around them and say things like, what do we need art for? Literally everything.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like some of it's engineering and some of it's like technical and science based, but there's art in there too.
Yeah.
I want
For
to do a
sure.
whole series on that too. Like
Yeah.
why there's
Hmm.
art in engineering and art in medicine and art in all of those aspects.
Yeah.
So
Uh,
go
oh,
ahead,
go
I'm
ahead.
sorry.
Oh, I just as an aside, I think there's a swing dance class upstairs.
Someone's
Uh,
having fun up there.
so there's some Lindy hopping.
Yeah. So speaking of being in your studio, show us a little bit about what you're up to.
Oh yeah, sure. Okay, so well behind me there's some work about ferns,
Yeah,
uh,
Ooh.
with some gold leaf and book
love
cloth
that.
there, and spray paint stencils there, and
Okay.
painting. I've got some bigger work over here. This is the tree
Ooh,
ring pieces.
Ooh.
I
This
love those so much.
Yeah. So okay. So for your listening audience, this is a uh, it's about a 4 maybe 5 foot wide drawing and painting of tree rings, and it's sort of like red and brown and orange and yellow, and it's
Love
done on
it.
collage paper. The paper's been sort of torn into strips and
Oh yeah.
collaged into a pattern of sort of like that offsets the same ring
Oh.
pattern, but a little offset. Um,
Yeah, so it's not just on canvas or just on
yeah, this
paper.
one's
It
on
is
paper, and
you
it's
created the paper
yeah.
first. Yeah.
Mhm. And then this one is more to this one earlier. Oh, jeez, close. This one is it's the sort of the same process, except the paper is collaged onto I think muslin,
Okay.
and it's
Mhm.
sort of like a random fashion. And then so I started out down here with just this sort of dot, and then it kept expanding, and I had to keep making the canvas bigger and bigger. Uh,
That's really cool.
yeah, so that was kind of neat. Let's see. Oh, this one here is a tree ring, but done in a different sort of way. Basically it's on a shaped canvas, and the rings are basically took acrylic paint and squeezed it through a cake decorator to make the rings. So they're sort of three
Oh,
dimensional. And
I
then I
see.
went and painted over everything with that. This was a sort of a project that sprung out of I was doing uh, a sculpture out of a steel sheet, and I drew the lines on it, and my friend Jane did all the uh, she basically welded the lines around it, and it
Oh
was
wow.
terrifying. There was like heat and sparks and smoke everywhere. It was super cool, but also a little scary. For her, it was like she loves it, and she's really good at it. But anyway, so this is a painting that sort of mimics that process.
I love that inclusion of orange in there.
Yeah, well, I was trying to get the rust because so the sculpture is out in the Blue Heron Nature Preserve in North Atlanta, and it's steel, and it's just rusting, and it's turning into its
Oh, yeah.
environment again and again. So
I love that.
yeah,
Yeah.
so this is kind of a simulacrum of that. And then and then this is all just our workspace. It's totally
Yeah.
messy.
That's how, yeah,
Um,
as it should.
yeah,
Yeah.
It's
but
how we work sometimes.
but yeah, so I'm gonna make a whole bunch of these shaped canvases for exhibition in November 2026. I'm going to try and make 100 of them or something. Maybe not all that big, but I wanted to fill up a wall and
Nice.
have it look like a stack of logs that you're sort of looking at from the end. And
Oh,
uh,
That's
yeah,
that's
because
cool.
neat
it's
idea.
inspired by driving past this forest near my house. That Atlanta really has these amazing forests, and it's part of the Appalachian forest, and it comes down from North Georgia. And so the trees here around Atlanta are like way taller than the trees that I grew up uh, around in Michigan. Um, but anyway, so it's a lot of forest, and it's just being like cut down like crazy. And there's every once in a while you drive past, like, wait, wasn't there a bunch of trees there? And then you just see like a big stack of them.
Oh,
I mean,
that's
it's
hard.
not as it's not as devastating as what I saw in the Pacific Northwest 20 years ago, where just hundreds of acres were clear cut, but this is maybe like 5 or 6 acres are clear cut, and it happens all the time for another set of condos or something. So, anyways, that's kind of what inspired those. Um, I don't
That'll
know.
be neat to see when you have that done.
Thanks. Yeah, yeah, it's gonna take a lot of work.
Yeah. A
Uh,
lot.
Yeah,
Please send us pictures of that once
Yeah.
you get it to the
for
space.
sure,
We'd love to feature that.
And
for
I'm
sure.
following you on Instagram too, so if you post it, I'll see.
Okay, great.
Yeah. So if you had somebody who is new to this or sees your work and goes, "Man, I think that's so cool. I want to do this inspires me to be an artist. This inspires me to paint or this inspires me to do nature art of some kind." What would be your advice to them?
Uh, to go for it, I think
Yeah.
that's the obvious. How to go about it? Well, it's going to take a lot of planning and thinking, but just it's a really, you know, I run into a lot of people in my life that are like, "Oh, you're an artist. That's great. I've got no creativity at all. I'm not even an ounce of like I don't know how to draw and do this."
I hear that too. Yeah.
I think, man, you are so wrong. You're creative. You just don't even know it. You don't recognize it. And I think you just have to encourage people to allow themselves to be soft, to be vulnerable, to start thinking with a pencil, to start imagining things. I mean, geez, we all did this as kids. Everybody was a super artist in second grade or
Exactly.
uh, even though they had their own. I mean, they weren't super artists, but they were excited about
Yeah.
it. And it's just like something that we got kind of get trained out of, but we can easily get trained into it. Um,
Mhm.
all the things do is I've either it's because I've sort of I've set I've made a mindset to sort of uh, to do it really. Um, and I've sort of carved out a space in my life and to make sure that this happens. And it's one of my highest priorities. Um, and I think that anybody can, if they're excited about making art, it, it's easy to get discouraged. I'll say that, but you just have to look at your failures as another, lesson or something. I don't know. It's not easy. I would definitely say it's not easy, but like I would never want to discourage someone from pursuing a creative path because it's like you need it, we need it, it's good for everybody. So make it happen.
It's yes, we need it for sure.
Hmm.
I read a quote today that was something like the gap between where you are now and where you want to be is filled not necessarily with talent but with persistence. And I think that kind of fits what you said just there, that you can keep going. And
Yeah, for sure.
yeah.
Yeah, persistence is really something that I think is overlooked. I learned about persistence when I had a job in college where I was calling alumni and asking them for money for the university.
Love that.
University. And they're like, start out by asking them for $1,200, and then ask them for 1,000, and then ask them for 600, and then ask them for 50, and you're guaranteed if they're still on the line, you're going to get $30, and that's all we want. And they're just like, be persistent, and and just like keep them. So I wouldn't say that's a lesson I like put in my studio, but it kind of echoes the persistence that I've, that has helped me continue to make art after. I mean, geez, I graduated from art school in 1998. So I've been doing this for a while now, and I don't plan on stopping. And I don't feel like there's anything in the world that can make me stop. Um, so that's just something that I've it's an attitude I've just sort of grown, I guess.
That's what we love to hear. You're going to keep doing it no matter who is dancing upstairs.
One of these days, Emily and I are just going to show up there to take the dance class just so that we can come downstairs and visit you.
Totally. Yes.
Bring our tap shoes. Right. That was me dancing with tap shoes on, by the way.
Nice.
I love that you're dancing with your hands.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
where, that's where I'm going to wear my tap shoes.
Stephen, the last question that we've got for you has nothing to do with anything that we've talked about so far. And we like to ask this question just because. We've never gotten the same answer twice, but the question is, if you were to sit down and have lunch with anybody in the world, alive or dead, who is sitting on the opposite side of that table from you?
And I listened to this question when I was listening to some other of your podcasts recently, and I still don't really have a good idea. I mean, I'd like to have
That's
lunch. My dad passed away a couple of years ago. I'd love to have lunch with him. I'd like to have lunch with some of my friends who I don't see that often. I'd like to have lunch. I mean, just in general, it's a really motivating kind of time for me. I don't know. I don't see any of those sort of big name artists or historical figures as being like any more or less inspiring than anyone else. I don't know. Call me up and I'll have lunch with you.
And where can our listeners email you to go have lunch?
You can find him through his website at
Exactly.
stephenlanderson.com or on Instagram under stephenl.anderson.
Yes.
Well, Stephen, sincerely, this hour with you has been incredible. I love your perspective on art. I love that you're willing to have lunch with anybody. And I love how much your art means to not only you, but it means to other people. So really, thank you for sharing your artistry with us here.
Thanks. It's really my pleasure, and thank you all for having me. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
More of Stephen's artwork can be found on his website, like Emily was saying, at stephenlanderson.com. You can find him on Instagram at stephenl.anderson. And then you can schedule lunch with him by sending him a private DM.
And go check out Day and Night Projects in Atlanta.
Yes, thank you. Well, with that, we want to thank you so much for tuning in tonight. This episode, along with others, can be found on our website, themodrom.com. You can also support us on Patreon by searching for The Modrom.